Okay, hi everyone, and welcome to our first digital workshop called Accessibility for Text and Documents. There's two other workshops, so if you also signed up for that one is a combination of these two that we have, just as a disclaimer. So my name is Miriam Abdalsalam. I am an instructional consultant specializing in accessibility on the course side within LS&A Technology Services and also LTC, which is known as Learning and Teaching Consultants. As an instructional designer with a background in education, I've seen firsthand how crucial accessibility is for a truly effective learning environment. My professional journey, both in and out of the classroom, has fueled a deep commitment to ensure that every learner has the opportunity to engage fully and independently. So, my mission is to create learning experiences where everyone, regardless of their abilities, can thrive and succeed. And I'm joined by Erin, who is my co-facilitator. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hello, my name's Erin Gavalier, and I'm a course content remediation consultant for LSA Technology Services. My main focus is on course accessibility, which involves consulting with instructors to help make their course content more accessible, from Canvas pages, documents, presentations, and more. And I've been given the wonderful opportunity to co-present this workshop on digital accessibility, which I'm excited to share about with you all today. We're also joined by Emily, who is another member of our team and co-presenter.
Hi, my name is Emily, and I will be monitoring the chat today. So if you have any questions, feel free to put it in the chat and we can address it at the end of the presentation, or if I can reply it in the chat, I will do that as well. And I will be also doing a little bit more at the end of the presentation as well. So very excited to share with you all.
Let me unmute. So just a few quick logistical notes. The session is being recorded and we'll be sharing the recording and the slides with everyone afterwards. So you can revisit any of the points and at your leisure time. So you'll also notice that the automated captions are available in Zoom. It's an example of accessibility in action. Please feel free to select show captions if you find them helpful. And like Emily said, if you have any questions, pop them into the chat. Today, we're hoping to share some practical bite-sized strategies that can make a monumental difference without feeling overwhelming. So let's make progress, not perfection, which is our guiding principle.
Today, we're going to explore some practical strategies that can help make your documents more inclusive and accessible to everyone, regardless of their ability. By the end of the session, you'll be able to do a few key accessibility practices. First, you'll know how to structure your documents using headers, which is a simple but powerful way to help screen readers navigate content more easily. Next, you'll learn how to use styles, not just for visual consistency, but also to create meaningful structure that assistive technologies can identify. We'll also cover how to choose accessible colors and fonts so that your content is easier to read for people with low vision or color blindness. Then you'll understand how to write meaningful link text, which helps users know where a link will take them without needing any extra context. We'll also introduce an alternative, more accessible file options rather than using PDFs. And finally, we have an optional activity to remediate a Google Doc using Grackle. So whether you're creating course materials or public-facing digital documents, these techniques will help ensure your content is usable for everyone.
So think about how much of your daily life relies on digital content, such as reading emails, browsing newsletters, shopping online, planning vacations, doing your banking, or even streaming your favorite TV show. Now imagine being blocked from accessing that content, not because it's not there, but just how it's presented. This is a common experience for many people with disabilities. Websites, apps, and other digital tools can create barriers that prevent access to essential information and services. But it really doesn't have to be that way. When content creators take the simple, intentional steps to make their content more accessible, we end up removing those barriers, ensuring that everybody has access to the same tools and information and opportunities. From an educational standpoint, accessible content also benefits your students with disabilities, but also with different learning preferences, different learning styles, and students who are English language learners. Accessibility isn't just a feature, it's a shared responsibility and really a core part of creating a welcoming community.
This slide shows a powerful statistic that more than 1 in 4 adults in the US, which is about 28.7%, have some type of disability. This means that a significant portion of students, colleagues, and staff may face barriers when accessing digital materials. Understanding why accessibility matters helps make the how feel more meaningful. It's important to keep in mind that accessibility reaches far more people than you might expect, and it also improves the experience for everyone. Universal design is a proactive design philosophy focused on creating environments, products, and content that are usable by the widest range of people possible. The classic example is the curb cut effect. Designed for wheelchair users, these ramps unexpectedly benefit parents with strollers, delivery drivers, travelers with wheeled luggage, and much more. All content should be available to everyone, not just in theory, but in practice. That means we need to offer multiple ways for learners to perceive, interact, and engage with the material. Here are some questions I like to ask myself when I'm creating content. Can someone hear, see, or read this content clearly, no matter what device they are using or their ability? Have you offered more than one way to access your message, like text, audio, visuals? Can your audience engage with your work in different ways? So, watching, reading, clicking, and listening.
Those are good tips. Okay. Accessibility guidelines and policies that shape how we create accessible digital content is known as Web Content Accessibility Guidelines, also known as WCAG. These standards guide how we create accessible websites, the applications, the digital documents, and they directly inform U of M's Electronic and Information Technology Accessibility Policy. So when we follow these standards, whether you're creating a syllabus or sharing course materials or submitting assignments, we can create a more inclusive digital environment that really benefits all. So if you visit the resources linked on this slide, you'll find that WCAG covers a lot of information and we encourage you to explore it. The good news is that just small, simple steps really can make a big impact. So these workshops are designed to help you understand both what to do and why it matters. When you're reviewing this, I just want to make a little bit of a disclaimer. It could feel quite overwhelming, but that's completely normal. So that's why we constantly reiterate that our approach here is just to start small and one step at a time. So most people really haven't encountered alt text, page structure, or color contrast before in this type of way. And that's okay. WCAG can be a great tool to reference and share, not just because it aligns with the U of M's policy, but also because it is the industry standard. So the goal for this session is that you'll understand how to use these accessible practices and incorporate it into your workflow. These practices will support not only just your students, but also you when you're creating other documents as well.
Accessibility remediation is a cyclical process. It's not just a one-time task. We start by learning the standards and tools, then we review and evaluate materials to see what needs work, archive anything unused, remediate the materials that remain, and monitor over time to maintain the accessibility. The Accessibility Remediation Checklist for course materials is a great resource to guide you through each step.
Okay, so step one, start by really taking a thorough look at the files and documents in your Canvas course. This initial review also helps you identify which materials need to be updated or remediated. So decluttering your course by deleting any files that are no longer used or no longer part of the current curriculum. This is going to simplify the remediation process and it really also improves course navigation for students. So if you have older files that you want to keep but you're not currently using, we suggest that you move them out of Canvas. Storing these files in a cloud-based service like Dropbox or Google Drive will prevent confusion and it will also improve your overall Panorama score.
Step 2, before attaching any clips from books or articles, ensure you understand and adhere to copyright under the Fair Use Guidelines. Whenever possible, provide a persistent link to a library article instead of uploading a PDF. This method is often more accessible and ensures students have access to the most up-to-date version of the resource. If your course uses an ebook, consider adding a direct link into your Canvas course. Most ebook platforms have built-in accessibility features that are beneficial for students.
All right. The best practice is to start with the original source. So if you are using Microsoft Word or Google Doc, locating that will typically be more accessible and it'll be easier to remediate than editing a PDF. If you only have a PDF that you're working with, then you might need to use a software like Adobe Pro to remediate it. Then the most critical step is to ensure the PDF has been properly OCR, and this process converts an image-based PDF into a searchable and selectable text document. After confirming the PDF is OCR'd, you can convert into a Microsoft Word document, and Word has a lot of built-in accessibility features. If finding an original document or converting a PDF is not feasible, the best way to do this is to manually recreate the content. So this allows you to build the content with accessibility in mind from the start.
Guidelines for digital text are foundational strategies and practices that help us create content that people can easily access and understand. In this section, we'll cover key elements like establishing a clear page hierarchy, creating accessible tables, ensuring proper color contrast, writing meaningful link text, and more.
So for effective instructional design, accessible documents are crucial, but a lot of times one of those components is the built-in hierarchy styles. So this is referring to heading 1, heading 2, and we consider it the invisible backbone of your document. Using these headings isn't just about making your document look pretty, it really embeds critical information that screen readers can recognize. So simply increasing font size won't communicate true structure. It's only these inherent hierarchy settings that allow the non-sighted users to easily navigate your document via keyboard tabs, jumping from section to section, just as a sighted person might quickly scan. Headings are vital for both visual clarity and screen reader navigation, acting as your document's GPS or navigation system. They provide the consistent structure, giving your document the conceptual coherence, much like a well-organized table of contents. So for screen readers, headers are key to skimming the content and quickly finding information. To maximize their effectiveness, don't skip heading levels. For example, jumping from heading 1 to heading 3. Oftentimes, this could feel quite disorienting. Ensure headers are at least 2 points larger than the body text for clear visual hierarchy and keep them short, descriptive, and sequential. Focusing on effective mini headlines. Avoiding use bold or enlarge your text manually to make it look like a heading. So following these practices ensure your documents are not only well organized, but also accessible.
When creating documents in Microsoft Word, Google Doc, or Canvas, leverage the predetermined styles in the rich text editors. These aren't just for looks, they are important for establishing proper page hierarchy. The outline view in Word or Google Docs is a valuable tool for accessibility. It provides a clear structural map of your document, showing how headings are organized. This allows you to verify your content's logical flow, which is vital for screen readers and other assistive technologies. You have full flexibility to customize the appearance of these styles, like changing the font, color, or size to match your branding. The main point is to ensure that the heading style remains applied to all your headers after customization. When you use the default styles to build a structured outline first, then customize the visual appearance, this will make your documents both accessible and visually effective.
Okay, just like headings help organize a page, lists and tables also need proper formatting to be accessible. So for lists, we should avoid manually typing numbers or using symbols or dashes. Instead, use the built-in ordered numbered list or the unordered, which is bulleted, list tools in Microsoft, Google, or within Canvas. Screen readers recognize these as actual lists, which help users understand how the content is grouped together. For tables, the simpler the better. Screen readers read tables from left to right and top to bottom. So if you merge cells or nest tables within each other, it can get really confusing and it may not be read properly at all. So always use header rows or columns to label your data and use the table formatting tools to mark them correctly. This helps screen readers announce what each cell means and it improves understanding for everyone.
Here's a visual example of what we mean by properly formatted list. On the left, you can see an unordered, also known as a bulleted list, and on the right is an ordered or numbered list. Both use the built-in list tools in Microsoft Word, which are highlighted with arrows in the toolbar. These tools automatically apply correct structure behind the scenes. That means the screen reader will announce the number or bullet, the nesting level, and help users understand how the content is organized. If you hand type numbers or use symbols, that structure is lost, and assistive technology will just read the text straight through. This is a simple step that improves both the accessibility and the visual clarity of your documents.
Okay, for tables. When it comes to accessible tables, like Erin mentioned on the previous slide, really the simpler is the better way to approach this. So avoid using tables inside of tables, like I kind of mentioned before. It's called nested tables, and try not to merge the cells. These design choices may look fine visually, but they can confuse the screen readers and making the table hard or even impossible to navigate. So what's most important is always use those header rows and when needed header columns to clearly label the data. Screen readers use this information to tell users what each cell relates to and making it much easier to understand. So this image just shows a properly formatted table in Word with header rows highlighted and a clean, consistent layout. You can use the table design tools shown at the top to apply those accessible styles easily.
Adequate color contrast is a non-negotiable accessibility best practice. We've all seen documents where text is barely readable, and for those with low vision or color blindness, this challenge is magnified. Ensuring proper contrast isn't just about good design, it directly impacts whether your message gets across. It's vital to have enough difference between the foreground and background elements. This applies not just to text, but also to charts, buttons, and icons, ensuring everything is legible for everyone. If contrast is too low, crucial information can be missed. Thankfully, you don't need to guess. Color contrast checkers are readily available, many as a simple browser extension. These tools quickly tell you if your color passes or fails using the Web Content Accessibility Guideline standards, making compliance straightforward. Here we have 4 examples of color contrast. This image is simple yet powerful, showing how color contrast can impact readability. The key point here is to always aim for high contrast, whether you're using grayscale or color, to help make your content more accessible for everyone, including users with visual impairments or color blindness.
Okay, so here are some of the color contrast tools that you can explore, again, at your convenience. One thing to remember is for the color combination to be accessible, the number generated by the checker needs to be 4.5 or higher, and you'll be able to play around with that and see what we're talking about. So it's important to remember that color perception varies widely. We often focus on the most common type of color vision deficiency, such as difficulty distinguishing between red and green or blue and yellow. But in rarer cases, some individuals experience complete color blindness, and the truth is, everyone perceives color a little differently. So even those without a diagnosed color vision deficiency, that can still be occurring. So this is why relying solely on color to convey meaning creates these barriers, maybe unintentionally, of course. But imagine a chart where data lines are only distinguished by color. For some, they will simply blend together. This also impacts students who print materials without access to a color printer, as distinguish between color and as that this distinguish between color will oftentimes vanish because they won't be able to tell. It's just lines. So to ensure clarity for every student, always use another method alongside the color. So think about patterns, labels, shapes, or textures in order to create those differences between the elements. And this helps make sure that your message is clear regardless of how color is being perceived or reproduced.
Next up is typography, which is how we choose and arrange fonts when creating digital documents. A common guideline used to be serif fonts for printed documents and sans serif fonts for digital documents. But since most of our content is now online and digital, sans serif fonts like Arial, Roboto, or Open Sans are usually the best for body text, as they are easier to read on screens. Serif fonts, which have those extra strokes or tails, are fine for headings or short titles, where the text is larger and used less frequently. The best practice here is to keep it simple. Stick to one font for body text and one for headers. Using too many fonts or styles can quickly become distracting. Also, make sure your font size is readable. For digital content, 12-point font is a good minimum for body text. These are easy adjustments that can really improve readability for both your students and any audience interacting with your materials.
So when adding links, prioritize descriptive text over vague phrases or raw URLs. So a screen reader announces a link as dash link HTTP dash colon dash slash slash link, click here, like that. And that really provides no context. So instead, use a few short words that clearly state the link's destination. So for example, learn more about accessible linking. We'll tell the user exactly what to expect, and that type of clarity is vital. Beyond descriptive text, there's a couple crucial design practices like don't underline text that isn't a link. That underline, it's a universal visual signal for links. So using them anywhere else can mislead both a sighted user and a screen reader user. So who expect that underline to indicate an interactive element. Avoid duplicate link names on a single page, as it's also really confusing for screen readers when they encounter the same link name multiple times, especially if those links go to different places. Each link should have a unique descriptive name that clearly indicates its specific destination. So here is the visual example of what we mean in terms of creating meaningful text, and creators kind of avoiding the click here, read more, and the long hyperlinks. So instead, like be specific and to the point.
If your document will be shared in print, it's important to include the full URL for any links you reference. Unlike digital formats where users can just click, people who prefer to print need to see and type out the web address themselves. To create a hyperlink in Word or Google Docs, just highlight your text, right-click, and choose Insert Link, then paste the URL. Even though the link will be clickable in digital versions, make sure the full web address is visible if the content is intended to be printed. This helps ensure your resources are accessible no matter how the document is shared. PDFs are one of the most common file types we see in courses, but they're also one of the hardest to make accessible. A PDF is like a picture. It looks polished and keeps the formatting exactly how you designed it, but to a screen reader, it's just a picture, unless the PDF has been carefully tagged and structured, which often isn't the case. That means students who use assistive technologies might not be able to access the content at all. A good rule of thumb is to avoid using PDFs whenever possible. Instead, consider sharing your content in a more accessible format like Word documents, Google Docs, or directly within a Canvas page. These options tend to be easier to navigate and work more reliably across different devices. To help you determine whether a PDF is truly the right choice for your content, we have linked a PDF decision tree for courses on the slide. It's a helpful guide for making more accessible formatting choices.
So making a PDF accessible, it's not as simple as just saving a document as a PDF. To do it right, you need to use Adobe Acrobat Pro. There's some other tools that you can use as well, but you need to have some technical knowledge. It's not something most people can do without any training or their own personal research. So even with the right tools, remediating a PDF is extremely time consuming, and one PDF can take hours or weeks to make accessible, depending on the pages and how complex it is. And additionally, because it can involve tagging every element, including headings, images, tables, reading order, so the screen reader is able to interpret the content correctly. So another thing that people face is when they interact with the PDF, they can't adjust the size or appearance of the PDF. They're not able to zoom easily without scrolling, and they can't change the font size or colors, and the content won't reflow on a small screen like a phone. So it's a real challenge for people who might need larger text, if they're using screen magnifiers, or if they need access to content on a mobile device. So while PDFs may look nice and it feels convenient, they often create really big barriers. And when possible, it's better to use more flexible formats like Word, Google Docs, or just the Canvas pages. We have an accessible document checklist and an accessible syllabus template that you can use. Again, we are going to be sharing these, and you'll be able to kind of click through and see if you want to borrow, which we highly recommend that you do. These are also some additional resources that you can use to learn more about making presentation slides accessible. Again, there's also checklists, there's templates available as a resource for the different tools and platforms like Google Slide Deck. How do I make an accessible presentation using Grackle and even Word PowerPoint presentations?
The UM library has a lot of great digital resources, like scanned books and journal articles, that you can use in your course. Even if you didn't originally access the material through the library, you can often link to it using a persistent library link. However, it's important to look out for copyright materials using the four fair use factors, which are the purpose and character of the use, including whether such use is of commercial nature or is it for nonprofit educational purposes, the nature of copyrighted work, the amount and sustainability of the portion used in relation to the copyrighted work as a whole, and the effect of use upon the potential market or value of the copyrighted work. The library also offers accessible copies for students who qualify, which includes alternative formats like searchable text or audio versions. If you're not sure how to find or share these resources or want help getting accessible versions, you can always reach out to the UM Library Accessibility Services. They are a great partner in supporting inclusive access to course materials. This slide highlights two key resources for EPUBs, text, and books. The Testing Accessibility of EPUBs guide helps you verify that an EPUB meets accessibility standards, things like proper headings, image descriptions, and navigation. The ebook Access from UM Library link connects you to titles that are often already available in accessible formats, or staff who can assist you in obtaining them. When working with EPUBs, we recommend looking for EPUB 3 as a version that supports features like reflowable text, screen reader compatibility, and multimedia accessibility.
Okay, so this is just to clear up any misconceptions. So if you're using PDFs because you're concerned about your content being edited, there are other options that will still allow you to protect your materials. Both Microsoft and Google offer ways to secure your original files, so students can only view them without making any changes. On this slide, we've just included two resources that walk you through how to do this in both platforms, and a lot of times it's as simple as just editing the viewing and changing it to put as view instead of editor. So I'm going to switch gears here and I'm going to hand it over to Emily as she kind of gives us a demo of Grackle for Google Docs, Sheets, and Slides. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And Emily, whenever you want, take it away.
Ooh, I need access.
Of course.
Okay. Can everyone see my screen okay?
Yes.
Okay. So yes, I'm gonna be talking about Grackle for Google Docs, Sheets, and Slides. Grackle is a new tool that is recently launched by ITS, and it is mainly used to help you run accessibility checks for your Google Docs, Google Slides, Google Sheets, and it's like integrated directly into your Google Workspace because Microsoft has a built-in accessibility checker, but not Google. And therefore we have Grackle, which is like official partner of Google and helping make sure your documents and files are accessible. It is pretty intuitive to use, and I will show you shortly. But if you need help, you can also always contact ITS for help. So I will also walk you through this step, but it's here. It is very straightforward. You can just click on extensions and then add-ons and get add-ons to search for Grackle, and then you can install these Grackle add-ons to your Google Workspace. And then once you have it installed, you can launch it to start using it in your documents. And the checker will show you issues there might be for your documents, and you can fix accordingly. So now we are gonna actually do this with I will actually show you, walk it through with you. It's completely optional, so if you don't want to do it right now and you come back to it later, or just want to see me do it, that's fine too. But if you want to, you're up for it, feel free to follow along as well.
Hey, Emily, can you just speak up a little bit louder?
Oh, sorry.
Couldn't hear
Yes, I
you.
can
Yeah.
speak louder.
Thank
Yes, I will share the link to the Google Doc in case you don't have this page up. But this is can make a copy of this Google Doc either from the slides or just by the link from the link I just shared. And I will open it up and click on make a copy. And this is what you will see on your screen. I'll give everyone a second to do this. Okay, and then now we can click on extensions on the toolbar for add-ons, and then click get add-ons. Here you can search for Graphel. And then because this is Doc, the Graphel docs will show up. I already have it installed, but you can click on it. And then you can install it here. I'll also give everyone a second to do this. Okay, once you have it installed, you can close that tab and then go back to extensions again. And then Graphel docs will show up here. And you can click on launch. And then Graphel would launch. Yes, there we go. And now Graphel is going to take some time to scan the whole document and point out some potential issues that this document has. As I look at the end, we just talked about this. One very glaring issue is how light this text is, and it doesn't have sufficient color contrast. So if we scroll down, we will see that it is being marked here where high color contrast should be used. And we can click on locate and it will tell you. So you can go ahead and fix that. But I am jumping ahead of myself. What I normally do when I open up Graphel, I will go through each of the issues and fix it one by one. The first issue that popped up is images should have alt text or marked as artifact. Alt text we haven't talked about today. It will be talked about in our next session. So make sure to sign up for images in the video session. But I will just show you today. You can click on this and it will show you which image does not have alt text. And if you click on the add tag part, it will show up as a pop-up, sorry. And then you can type out what the alt text might be for this image. And then if you update it, it will automatically apply this alt text. And then I will give everyone a second to follow along. Okay, and then the next thing we see here is that headings should be used. So we also talked about using headings in our presentation. And then we normally in each document there should be at least one heading one for your title and or like the main content. So it is the title, but we normally just use heading one. And you click on add tag as well, and it will, or sorry, locate, and it will tell you which one should be tagged. And then once it's highlighted, you can also click on add tag. And then change it to heading one, and then update it. So now this text would be marked as heading 1. And so as you can see, this is also an issue that popped up, a single heading which use. And then once we have done some of these changes, you can also click recheck to see it being updated. And now, as you can see, it is a green check mark in this image is as alt text, and we have headings now. There are still some more issues. You can work through it on your own, and please let me know if you have any questions about this demo.
Okay, perfect. I'm going to share my screen. One second. Let me just make sure. There we go.
So now that we've learned how to create accessible text and documents, I want to highlight an opportunity to dive deeper into accessibility with 2 challenges. First, the Course Accessibility Challenge, which starts on September 2nd, and then second, we have the 10-week Accessibility Challenge starting on September 23rd. These challenges run every semester, so be on the lookout for the sign-up form. If you're interested in making your documents, presentations, and course sites more inclusive, these challenges are a great place to start. They are designed to be manageable and flexible. Over the course of 3 to 10 weeks, you'll receive weekly challenges straight to your inbox, each one focused on a specific area of digital accessibility. This is a hands-on way to build your accessibility skills. Whether you're just getting started or looking to deepen your knowledge, you can sign up for the challenge by clicking the link on the slide.
Okay, so I know we've covered a lot of ground today, and you might be thinking, where do I go from here? The excellent news is you're absolutely not alone in this journey. The University of Michigan and the College of LS&A provides a robust ecosystem of support and resources. We really have a wealth of resources covering everything we discussed today. I could have simply went through each and every resource and just showed it, like just the magnitude of what we're trying to provide for everybody. But again, we don't want to make things overwhelming. So that's why we say at your convenience to go through these things from page hierarchy to color contrast, alt text, and audio and video considerations. For our second presentation, we are going to be going over alt text and audio and video. So that's something, if you, like Emily has mentioned, if you want to join, we would love for you to attend. These slides themselves contain the links to the helpful tutorials and tools, but don't feel like you have to memorize everything today. Consider this more so your springboard to a deeper dive. We want to equip you with the knowledge and the pathways to get the support you need when you need it, and depending on what you're actually using. So now that we've gotten the introduction and some of those core elements out of the way, I'm going to share some of those resources like the general accessibility and information and page hierarchy, which is on this slide. We also have some resources for that color contrast that Erin mentioned and descriptive links that I've talked about. And again, here are some resources for Canvas accessibility and a lot of information on PDFs and deciding whether that's the right way to go or maybe there's something else that you can use. And ultimately, our collective goal as a team is to empower our students to create the digital content that is not only brilliant, as well as professors, but to make sure that they're also accessible for everyone. So ensuring that your work, student work, has the widest possible reach and impact. So this is truly a skill that will serve not only just you, but also your students beyond their time here. And if you have questions, you need further assistance, or simply want to brainstorm how to implement these ideas into your specific courses, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. The LS&A Learning and Teaching Consultants are here to support you, and you can reach us by phone or email. Thank you so much for your time, your engagement, and your commitment to making our digital environment more universal and fair. This is the end of the presentation, but we do have some additional time to open it up for some questions. So I'm going to stop sharing. And then 1 second. And I want to make sure that I